All right, beautiful souls. So we are going to get into Antidote to Antidote, a part of my legacy that I'm going to leave when I do exit this planet, this earth. All right, so continue keeping up with me because there are things that you can learn from me. I'm confident in that. Uh, this is chapter 2, living but or 22, living but not really living. Once T-Rex started living with us, everything was perfect. I screwed up trying to be his friend before his mother, when really I didn't know how to be a mom myself. I had to teach myself everything, and my entire childhood was a complete joke, it seemed like. There wasn't anyone who consistently stayed in my life, so at first T-Rex got whatever he wanted. He would throw fits when he did it, and I was the first one to call his Mimi, and she would get on the phone with him. And it was like a light switch. My son would stop crying and behave. I'm not sure what she said to him, but it scared the shit out of him. You know? Kids don't just turn it off like that, you know? Plus, my son hardly ever saw her at this point. So yeah, it kind of freaked me out, you know? The Marine was nice to my son at first, but then both the Marine and I started learning that my son wasn't as innocent as he portrayed. But, guys, I don't think any of us at that age were as innocent as we portrayed, you know, especially if you're coming from a broken home, you've been traumatized, you've been removed from your home more than one time. You'll have behavioral issues, God bless, you know, and at this point in my life, I was still using drugs. I didn't know how to cope. And, you know, I wish I aim at this point in my life to become the mother that I never had, you know? And it took all of this, all these trials for me to actually wake up and realize that, you know, there are people, there are children that love us and need us, okay? So I'm reflecting a little bit on the things that I've learned from this past. Yeah, so I kind of don't like how I started learning that my son wasn't as innocent as he portrayed, because now I can see both sides and I can see my faults and I can see where I could have done better. Um, yeah, I wish, you know, but you know, there will come a day where I get that opportunity to be in his life again. I have faith, y'all. Ugh, I got faith. The Marine figured that out quicker than I did. I still sided with my son no matter what. So the Marine and I were at it all the time over the way I was raising my son and how I was letting him do whatever he wanted to do. It got to the point where I was of at home full time and the Marine was supporting us. In the beginning, he gave me access to his debit cards and let me pay the bills and buy dope. In fact, right when we first met, I made him go to my dope dealer's hotel room and buy my dope just to make sure he wasn't the police. The Marine was bad with money. He always tried putting the bills last and always wanted to go out to eat when we had food in our refrigerator. I want to I want to talk a little bit about how toxic this relationship was with this Marine. When I met him, there was a Disneyland phase. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to. I could spend all his money buying drugs, doing whatever I wanted to do. But at the end of this relationship, this person literally took all of my faults and used them against me. He didn't just use them against me, he collaborated with many people to go against me. We'll get there. It gets good. But remember, everything that we go through in our life is divinely orchestrated. All right. For a while, when things got normal and everyone got situated, I got comfortable and would leave my son with his best friend at the house with the Marine alone. I acted like I had not a worry in the world. That's what dope will do to you, you know? I would tell the Marine I was going to go get dope and I would be back. I wouldn't be back till the next day. I've truly, truly fucked up a lot of things in my life, guys. This is why it's so important to get my story out here and to catch you while you're fucking up, to get you out of that hole, out of that pit before it gets worse. Because my story, it gets worse. But, you know, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Um, Alright, I would get caught up with this other guy. I went dumpster diving with him, and we would get geeked up and lose track of time. Alright, so I'm gonna talk about this other guy, because I didn't really talk about him too much in this book, and I realize it's very important to communicate and talk about this. I made friends, okay, with someone that became extremely obsessed with my energy, with me, you know, obsessed with using me financially when I was, the money that I was getting was from the Marine, you know, and if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, he would, oh my God, he did some awful things. When he was in jail, he had a couple pictures of us. He cut them in pieces, and he would mail to the Marines' work pictures of me and him until I sent him money. I mean, it was bad. And this person, he had called DHR, he had called family members, he had called people and just said some of the ugliest things about me, you know, to the point where I, like, being under the influence and being so scared, I literally did whatever this idiot wanted me to do. Guys, God puts people like this in your life so that you will lose everything until you get your ass in check, okay? This was the one of the biggest karmic lessons that I have ever learned. And by God, if I ever see this human being, I will not walk near him, look at him, talk to him. I might even call the cops. It was that bad. It was such a very unhealthy. Have you ever met someone where they fed off of your misery? They enjoyed to see you sink. They absolutely loved seeing you fail. This human being did. Ugh, I can't even call him a human being, you know? Ugh, 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 ugh. Lord, help me. Thank you, Lord, for putting that in my life. I understand now. I learned so much, but by God, I had to go through the worst things with this person before it finally clicked and I finally realized, you know, it is possible for the devil to walk in human form. And honestly, this guy was that bad. He is the devil on earth, you know? But I didn't really put him in this book because I didn't think that it was important, or I tried not to incorporate that into this. You know, it was really weird that I didn't add him in here, but I'm glad I didn't, because that's memories that I never want to go back to, ever. And guys, you need to pay attention to your children, because if a child says they do not like somebody, there's a reason for it, okay? God. Ugh. Anyways. It goes sad. Aside, I was going to... Okay. Phone. I went dumpster diving with him, and we would get geeked up and lose track of time. I found some texts in the Marine's phone with him asking his ex-wife for some new pictures. And I just said, screw this shit. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Honestly, my son wasn't my first priority, and I truly regret it today. You know? I decided I was going to sleep with this guy that I would run off on my fun sprees with just to get back at the Marine. And I wasn't even attracted to this demon. Literally a demon. It was one of the worst mistakes I made in Alabama. I've made, y'all, if you've not realized, I've made many, many, many mistakes. I eventually found out the Marine never cared. These are facts. He never did. And it's okay, because it would have been going against the grain if I pushed to stick with that guy, you know? God wouldn't have allowed it. And I was actually engaged, but you can't really call it engaged if you never were proposed to properly and you never got a ring. It was all just trash. Everything there was trash. Ugh. I think really I was excited with the idea of having a wedding, wearing a pretty dress, and yada 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 yada, yada with this Marine, that it wasn't even about him. You know? I wanted to be married, you know? He was I eventually found out the Marine never cared. He was the type of guy that wasn't loyal and would never be loyal. He stepped out on his first wife and then me, and then I knew for a fact stepped out a few times on his current girlfriend. Well, they're engaged now. But he even tried contacting me after our relationship had ended. I turned around and screenshotted the text and sent them to his current fiance. No, yeah. No, maybe it was his ex-wife that I sent them to. I can't even remember. But yeah, he had sent me a message saying he wanted pictures of me naked, and I was just like, ugh, dude, you just left me and my son in our home when the bills were due, and you have the audacity? He left with no explanation. He's such a collaborating fuckface, okay? I'm just speaking truth here. I said once a dog, always a dog. During this time, my son was pretty much doing whatever he wanted. It was all my fault. It really was. Yeah, I own it. It says I should have been a better mom. But see, guys, during this journey, I've learned that I'm done beating myself up. It's pointless to beat yourself up. You did what you did, you took accountability for it, and you're moving forward, becoming the best version of yourself. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Just continue to grow and get stronger and better, you know, and right your wrongs. You got this. But yeah, it does say I should have been a better mom, and the Marine stopped paying for anything. He wouldn't help me pay for my son's sports or field trips. I wasn't working, and the Marine still expected sex from me. I cut him off quickly, and when I did, he cut us off. The Marine would sit in the living room when he wasn't at work and watch war movies, which scared my son and his friends. I was also freaked out about it. My son would always tell me this guy was weird, and I would never listen. This is why it's important you listen to your kids, okay? Yeah, listen to your kids. Because I was so preoccupied with where and when I was going to get dope. The Marine loved it when I was high because he would have a chance to have sex with me. I grew to be disgusted with the sight of this guy. I was out running errands one day, and I came home, and my son and his friend Dylan told me that the Marine picked T-Rex up by the throat and held him over the front porch and was threatening to drop him. Ooh. I ran to tell my dumpster diving friend what was going on, and he snapped and got sick of the Marine beating me, putting his hands on my child, and the Marine talking to me like he owned me. My friend literally ran up in my living room and beat the shit out of the Marine. I mean, it was bad, y'all. It was bad. I remember trying to break it up, and the three of us went flying through a 2.5-inch thick glass coffee table. The Marine didn't even have the chance to blink. He was out on the floor in a fetal position, and my buddy was out the door. I can't believe I said buddy. Ew. Was out the door. A part of me was so happy this happened, and the Marine really deserved it. Y'all, I think a part of me was like, damn, somebody is finally sticking up for me and my son, you know? But that's not what it was, you know? But I do believe now that I just felt like somebody was actually standing up for us, protecting us, but it wasn't the right somebody, you know? The whole situation was so corrupt, so just toxic. You know, that's really all I can say about it. This outbreak caused the Marine to leave without any of his shit. He left without paying any of the bills, and it was already the 3rd, so it was just me and T-Rex. I tried to figure out what to do so that we don't get kicked out, and I resorted to calling everyone in my family begging for $800. While crying and screaming. Finally spoke with my father, and he agreed to give me the money, but warned never to hear my voice again. My father told me, he said, Narcy, I'm going to give you this money, but I never want to hear your voice again. That really sucked, you know? My father didn't know what was going on, but he really didn't care either. Maybe he did care. Now that I think about it, he just didn't know how to deal with it, you know? We all were so dysfunctional. So he sent me the money through Western Union and I paid our bills and then found a job with Walmart 2 days later. God was working. I just got out of an abusive relationship with an ex-Marine, someone with absolutely no personality and a waste of 3 years. Now that I look at it though, it wasn't a waste of 3 years. It sucked that my son had to go through it, you know? And that's what gets me, you know? Because it's not his fault, you know? But there were lessons that needed to be learned. Guys, I'm not trying to repeat these cycles ever again. Ever, you know? We won't talk personality in a waste of 3 years. We won't talk about him much because he doesn't deserve to take part in this journey you're learning about. It's true, he doesn't. Alright, guys. We're going into chapter 23 and it's called Weirdo. I'm going to take a break. I'll get back on here. I love you. But this is a good one. God bless you.